Hello to all my fellow sports plebs out there. My name's Kyle, and I'm with a pleb's view. I just give my views on daily news, sports, some politics, just kind of whatever I find interesting because I do work full time, so just kind of do this when I have time in between. And I'm married, so I got to spend some time with my wife too. Uh, so Baker Mayfield went ahead and notified the Cleveland Browns that he would like a trade, but I don't believe he has a trade clause or anything like that in his contract, so he is stuck unless they decide to kind of grant his request and if they find another suitable veteran or if they can pick up a rookie, I guess, to replace him. I found a nice Yahoo Sports article that kind of covered some different options the Browns have. Some of the guys on here, I was kind of leaning towards that they'd have the option to, because it does sound like they decided that they're not going to look into Deshaun Watson anymore either. So it's kind of a weird deal of how they said that they're going to go look at Deshaun Watson and then kind of back out and still want Baker to kind of stand by them. Because I don't think I'd feel that good about that being in that situation myself. But that's just me. So go ahead and get into this article here real quick. Just kind of glance through and see what they got for suggestions or opinions or whatever. Baker Mayfield has requested a trade for all intents and purposes. Sorry. Let me switch here. So, all right. If Baker Mayfield is eventually traded, who could Browns turn to at quarterback? And this is a Yahoo Sports article. Baker Mayfield has requested a trade for all intents and purposes, saying his goodbye to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, having flirted with trade target Deshaun Watson, might be saying right now that they won't grant the request, but it certainly feels like both sides have gone too far in the wrong direction to salvage the relationship. If a trade ends up happening, and we think it will in time, the Browns will be down one starting quarterback, and sources say that's not ideal. That's how I feel too. I feel like eventually, with just how things panned out for both sides, that yes, eventually they're going to have to both go their separate ways. Of course, a quarterback could come in return for Mayfield, and that's certainly one major option toward addressing the issue, but there are also other methods by which the Browns can find their 2022 starter. Here are a few paths the Browns could take. Matt Ryan. If Deshaun Watson ends up in Atlanta, Ryan would be sent packing. That's a pretty stark churn for the Falcons, who reportedly agreed to contract adjustments on Ryan's deal, but those have not yet been processed while the Falcons pursue Watson. Ryan's current deal runs 2 more years and pays him salaries of $23.75 million in 2022 and $28 million in 2023. The Browns are currently sitting with about $16 million in salary cap space, but could make it work if they wanted to. Ryan turns 37 in May, but he's maintained a high level of performance, even while the Falcons have fallen off and receivers Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley faded. In 2021, Ryan completed 375 of 560 passes for 67% for 3,968 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. If there's a stat that should concern Cleveland, it's the number of sacks he's taken. Ryan was sacked 40 times last year, the 4th in a row he's taken at least that many. Over the past 4 years, the sack total is 171. So, Ryan's durability is tremendous, though. He's only missed 3 career games and only one since 2009 season. He certainly could be a high-level bridge QB for the next season or two, and perhaps even longer, depending on when the Browns would consider drafting his potential replacement. If they went with Ryan, I'd probably draft the replacement pretty soon, so I would kind of do something like the Packers did with Rodgers. Give the rookie, maybe 3 seasons to kind of to learn behind him. Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers. This guy's name always comes up. This wouldn't come without challenges, but Garoppolo could help the Browns transition from the Mayfield era to the next one. The 49ers say they want to do right by Garoppolo and trade him this offseason, but so far the market has been cool. There are a few reasons for this. 1, Garoppolo just underwent shoulder surgery and is likely to miss a big portion of the offseason program wherever he lands. The expectation is that he'll begin throwing sometime in July or in early July. That's a bit concerning for any team that would ostensibly want to make him their week 1 starter, but by that pace, he'd be back for the start of training camp. 2, his contract might need adjusting. Garoppolo currently is on the books to hit the salary cap for $26.95 million next year. It's one thing to add Ryan at or around that number, but Garoppolo doesn't come with the same qualifications and pluses. Which leads us to another concern. Is Garoppolo that good? The 49ers' success without him has paled to the results with the Garoppolo on the field, but there's also a reason San Francisco engineered a major draft trade a year ago to secure Trey Lance. The 49ers might have felt then, and almost certainly do now, that Garoppolo has played about as well as he's going to play. No shade towards Kevin Stefanski, who is a fine play caller and offensive designer, but if Kyle Shanahan has seen Garoppolo's ceiling, what's to say that the Browns are somehow going to get more out of him? Plus, in addition to the shoulder, Garoppolo has suffered a litany of injuries over the past few years. Marcus Mariota, Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, this is an interesting one because he's sitting on the bench. Maybe he could get another opportunity for a couple seasons while they groom a guy. Mariota would come much more cheaply than the first two options. He's also younger at 28 years old and has taken far fewer shots in recent years than both. But Mariota has not started a game since Week 6 of the 2019 season when he was benched by the Titans. Since then, Mariota has completed 19 of 31 passes for 254 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, and run 22 times for 175 yards and 2 more scores. The Raiders often use Mariota's athleticism with a special package of plays the past 2 seasons, mostly as a runner. So he must be kind of like in a Taysom Hill role down there with the Saints. Is Mariota ready for starting duty again? He'd likely answer yes, but the Browns might not think so. Acquiring Mariota likely would cost less, perhaps an incentive-laden deal, and might consider a 1-year prove-it type of deal, but it almost certainly would require the Browns to draft a quarterback relatively high this year, say somewhere in the first 3 rounds. Mariota's past injury concerns would be a worry. He was injured on his first touch of the season last year and has had various ailments since entering the league. Also, we just can't know what to expect from him after he barely saw the field for most of the last 3 years. Yeah, the rust would be one concern with him. And then there's also Jameis Winston down there with the New Orleans Saints. Winston, like Mariota, would be a tough sell as anything but a placeholder, but he's at least taken some recent starts and not fared horribly. Well, he had a pretty good start with the Saints last year. I think he got hurt and then never came back, but he had that good start, came out, wowed my Packers. So, I mean, that Saints could also just stand by Jameis Winston. Maybe they just end up keeping him. Like Mariota, Winston found his career at a crossroads a few years ago, signing with New Orleans Saints as Drew Brees' backup. After barely playing in 2020, he threw a 56-yard touchdown in the playoffs that year against a former Buccaneers team, but then was thrust into a starting role last season with the Saints. Winston, 28, got his 2021 campaign off to a strong start. He completed 59% of his passes for 1,170 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions in 7 starts, leading New Orleans to a 5-2 record, but Winston suffered a torn ACL and damaged MCL in Week 8, which ended the season. Knee injury. He's now a free agent, and reportedly getting back into playing shape and likely would be ready to see the field during OTAs. Earlier than Garoppolo would, but is Winston trustworthy? Sure, Sean Payton seemed to be getting the best out of Winston last year, but his career prior to that had been defined by massive swings. Some quite good, some hilariously bad. If the Browns do sign Winston, he'd have both of his former teams, the Bucs and Saints, on the schedule this year. But can he help lead talented roster before he's placed? This feels like a high variance type of signing. My boy, Gardner Minshew. I would like him to get a starting job somewhere. As far as Mayfield's replacements go, this one might be a little too on the nose. No, they're not the same player, but with a similar frame and play style. Minshew has been likened to a dollar store Mayfield in the past. Minshew's histrionics might not be the perfect salve, even if he is considered somewhere on the charming, harmless spectrum by some. Football-wise, Minshew might deserve more respect than he's getting in his career. 27 games, 22 starts. He's completed 542 of 857 passes, 63.2%. For 5,969 yards with 41 touchdowns and 12 picks. also running 105 times for 518 yards and a score. Yeah, I've always liked Gardner. Over Mayfield's past 22 starts, he's completed 421 of 681 yard passes, 61.8% for 5,059 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, along with running 72 times for 234 yards and 2 more scores. Granted, more than half of those starts came after Mayfield suffered a shoulder injury in Week 2 last year, one that worsened throughout the course of the season and caused him to miss 2 starts. It's arguable he should have missed more. When the Eagles dealt for Minshew, he came at a pittance, a conditional 6th-round pick. That's both the allure and the bottom line rub right there. Minshew's numbers have been good, but he's clearly not valued as a true starter by many NFL teams. So yes, he possibly could be had for a song, and Minshew is a year younger than Mayfield, but like the prior 2 options, the Browns immediately would be on the clock to draft his successor. Then they could pick up a draft pick too. This could be in play whether or not the Browns acquire a veteran following a trade of Mayfield. That was like I said earlier. It's perhaps not the best year to be looking for a QB savior in the draft, but reports about how terrible this crop of passers are feel way overplayed. 2, perhaps even 3 could end up as respectable NFL starters, but are any star quality? That's a fair question to ask. The Browns have decent draft capital now and could get more in return for Mayfield. Their current allotment of picks are so the round 1, number 13, round 2, number 44, round 3 would be 78, 90, and 99. Round 4, they'd have numbers 107 or 107 and 118. And then round 6 would be 202 that they got from the Boys, and round 7, number 223 that they got from the Lions. They could be better off maybe packaging up some of these picks, seeing if maybe they can move back to grab some guys and then acquiring some picks for next year down the road too to get a guy. Because yeah, this is also a weak. I wasn't thinking about this being a weak class too. It is a weak QB class. That's 8 picks plus Mayfield in theory with which to play at 13. They might be able to get the QB2. Our feeling will also be gone. Someone will trade up for him and we'll spend the day after round 1 debating whether he went too high, whatever. But depending on how high QB1 is drafted, especially if it's Willis, that could compel another team to leapfrog teams such as the Browns at number 13 or even the Seahawks at 9 to land QB2, which we guess is Pickett. This might play out a bit similarly to the 2017 NFL Draft. The Bears slid up to number 2 to take Mitch Trubisky. That was followed by the Chiefs and Texans trading up to 10 and 12 respectively for Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. So maybe it won't be as weak as we think it is of a class. At least maybe we'll get two good guys. It's important to remember there was a healthy dose of skepticism toward the class's quarterbacks at the time. No one was sure when the first QB would come off the board. Some of the day before the draft mocks 5 years ago had the quarterbacks trickling off the board somewhere in the teens or maybe a shade earlier. The point is that Willis and Pickett are likely to go earlier than many realize now. That also could push a third QB into the first round, perhaps even a fourth. Desmond Ridder has gotten a little buzz lately. Matt Corral is still interesting enough. So this gives the Browns a preview of what might happen if they head into draft day without a clear solution at quarterback. They had better be prepared to move up if that's the case. If they land Garoppolo, they might still feel that pressure considering the injury concern. If they get Ryan, they clearly can be patient or punt to the 2023 draft if they really want. But really, with any non-Ryan addition or with any movement before the draft, the Browns can't sit and watch the paint dry. Even in this maligned QB class, there's enough demand elsewhere that the action could be surprisingly hot at the position. The Browns must figure out which QB they like best and assume he'll be picked half a round to a round higher than they may currently be projected to go. So yeah, like I was saying, the QBs in this draft coming up this year are going to be hot. So they're saying they might go half round around earlier than projected, which I would agree with, because there's not too many. I think the only one I'm really even interested in is Pickett. I'm not real big into college football. I more or less just spend my time watching the NFL. I would like to do a little bit of hockey too on this channel if people would be interested in some hockey. hockey something you guys hockey something you guys would be interested in, please comment below. I might start watching a little bit more hockey to stay up to date with that. I don't think too many people cover hockey on YouTube, but my two main sports are football and hockey. If you guys made it this far, go ahead and become a lifetime member as a pleb here, and hit that subscription button. And that'll be it. You guys have a good one. I think this will be my last video. I don't know if I'll put any out tonight after work or not. Probably spend some time with the wife if she's up. So you guys have a good day. Probably see you sometime tomorrow on Saturday. See what's going on for news. You guys have a good one. Peace.